Hey YouTube.
Yo, you're live. We're live. We're live.
Hi. Can you tell we don't know what we're doing?
Who's we? I feel like I'm quite in a competent, comfortable position. But we
Okay.
are already winging this. We'll see. This is the first live stream we're doing on YouTube.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Today, as you would tell by the title, we're talking about Top Boy Season 2, Top Boy Netflix Season 2. We're not gonna do a standard episodic breakdown as we typically do with everyone's critic, but we are gonna do like a general seasonal kind of roundup, talk about the different characters, general plots, our overall thoughts on season 2, and see where it goes from there.
Yes. Hello. I was just about to say, like, when you said season 2, like, when I type in Top Boy, I'm either seeing season 2, I'm seeing season 4. Even me mentally, like, I don't know where to class it because obviously on Netflix it's Top Boy Summer House.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's a weird one, but
anyway, that's a by the by.
Today's Top Boy.
Welcome to Everyone's a Critic podcast with your girl Queenie and your boy Kojo, where we discuss our favorite TV shows and sometimes our not so favorite TV shows, for our pleasure and yours potentially.
When you said our not so favorite TV shows, I'm like, is that shade? Are we throwing shade on? Have we discussed something that's not a favorite?
Well, I'm hoping that we do one day. I think that's why I said that.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
I thought you were throwing shade at Top Boy.
No, I was more. If I was going to be throwing shade at any show that we've covered so far, it would be Euphoria. But let's not go there.
I was gonna say that's a hot take, but it's actually not. So I get it. I get it. We'll see. I'm curious to see how you landed on Top Boy. In terms of format, so the way we're gonna do this is beginning with maybe break down the characters and how that intertwines with the overall main story. So we'll do like kind of character breakdowns and then round off with like general final thoughts on sort of lesser characters, less important characters, and our overall thoughts on the season. But I guess we can kick off with the main man himself, Mr. Ashley Walters, one Duchesne.
Yeah.
Queenie, do you want to give us like a quick recap of Duchesne's main story and how you thought about him? Yeah.
So Duchesne, we pick up with Duchesne in season 2 or season 4 or however you see it. He is the top boy, right? He is making the money that he has always wanted to make. He's getting a steady income of, drugs from your girl, forgotten her name, blonde lady, miscellaneous lady. That's coming in thick and fast. He's making peace. He's still with Shelly, the girl Shelly. And yeah, just out here being top boy, basically. Him and Sully aren't necessarily on good terms, but he still puts Sully up with some money. Every month, Sully still gets an income from his boy Duchesne. Duchesne.
I'll add, it's not out of like. Duchesne's not doing him a favor. Duchesne owes him that money because it is their business.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I should say that. Also, Duchesne is selfishly or selflessly has taken Jamie under his wing as his new kind of protege-esque type person.
Number 2. This is Capo, his stringer bell. His piece to go get shit done. I mean, not a stringer bell, that's more Jack, but yeah, his. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. His not quite top boy. We'll call him that. So selfishly or unselfishly taking Jamie under his wing, just to make sure that empire is continuing to expand until he reaches a bump in the road where that supply is not as great as the demand, and Needs must, basically. So yeah, Duchesne is kind of tightened up the belt and has to find a way to get those drugs up and running again and flowing again. Whilst all of this is happening, Duchesne is also trying to find a way to make his money, his dirty, druggy money, clean. And so the way that he tries to do this is through property, which is how money laundering happens a lot of the time, to be fair. So he works with his like drug dealing partner, I guess, to try and redevelop, gentrify his estate, Summer House, which comes with more challenges because the whole of Summer House doesn't want this to happen, including one of the tenants of Summer House, his mother, who unfortunately ends up passing away.
Yeah.
On top of this, the police are also after Duchesne. Like, they are clocking onto Duchesne. They actually have the person who supplies all of his cars and all of his arms and all of that. They've got him in prison.
One Mr. Rubin.
Yes. So they're clocking onto Duchesne. I'm quite surprised that that the police didn't feel like they had enough evidence to at least arrest Duchesne. I find that.
I mean, but it's like, I guess from their perspective, you've seen The Wire, you know how sticky it is to. You have to have something for. They can arrest him under suspicion of.
Yeah.
But what are you going to charge him with? Like, in court, you haven't really got any evidence to say that he is blah blah blah. Unless you have somebody like Ruben who's going to roll on Duchesne until Duchesne said, "Stop that."
Yeah. But one thing that I liked about Duchesne, not liked, but like one thing that I noticed about Duchesne was that he was always like, no phones, burners only. No phones, but like that was something. If Duchesne was talking, afterwards he was going to say no phones, burners only. And I don't know why I'd really like that. But obviously it just shows that dude he's really in this and he knows what he's doing, and I say he's in this, but he's also trying to get out, which is why he was recruiting Jamie, I guess, as his
Yeah, he didn't. I see his interest because I didn't see him recruiting Jamie initially as his. I say he's number two because there's still that animosity there, and Jack is actually the number two, or because Sully's the number two, but Jack is also there. But until he had that conversation on the last episode with with Sully, saying that Jamie's our retirement plan.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're doing, but it's quite wild, quite naive of him to think that Jamie was going to stay in that position. Like, that was never going to happen. But anyway, circling back, Duchesne is probably one of my least favorite parts of the show. I can't lie. Why? I don't enjoy Ashley Walter's acting. I can't lie. It's just something about it rubs me the wrong way. And I know I sent you that image early on when I was watching the season of him spiking the camera, like looking dead into the lens. And I'm just like, and that was maybe episode 1 or 2. They had a lot of shots of Duchesne in the car in like a meditative state, and I was like, this is interesting. But I think it's because I don't really buy him as the top boy, as this like top gangster. Something about it kind of just feels forced. It feels quite forced. Sully, we'll get to Sully and Kano in a second. Sully, I buy. A lot.
Sully, yeah. Sorry, please continue.
Duchesne, I don't know if it's Ashley Walters or the character. I think it's more Ashley Walters, and maybe it's just not really jiving with me.
Yeah.
It doesn't really connect.
Your comment about him being in a pensive mood in the car, that maybe took up like at least 30 minutes. Like, and because basically, so the way the podcast works as well is that we have an Instagram page, EAC_pod, and we'll post like screenshots of the show and stuff like that. And literally, I would go to take a screenshot, and there he is, there he is again. Pensive in the car. Yeah, it's very, very strange. But I do understand what you're saying in terms of definitely buying Kano as Sully, as this kind of gangster guy. But I feel like maybe the reason why it doesn't land too tough especially this season, is because Duchesne and Sully, I guess it has kind of always been like the brains and the bully kind of thing. Like that is kind of how their dynamic, in my mind anyway, that's always how I've seen their dynamic. So perhaps the reason why Duchesne's character didn't land for you this season was because he was maybe a bit too hands-on in terms of like actually doing stuff, like actually being very tactile in his violence, as opposed to just like watching it happen on the side, maybe. Or you're just not a fan.
It's the acting. It's definitely the acting. Definitely the acting. I see what you're trying to do, but I don't know. I haven't really enjoyed actually what was a shame at all throughout the 4 seasons of Top Boy. And I think maybe just because I'm approaching it with a more critical lens. The show clearly got a bigger budget. I love that for them. But it just doesn't connect with me. And it's not my least favorite part of the show. I definitely have a part of the show which I dislike more. But I don't know. It didn't jive with me. Okay.
On that bigger budget like line though, I love it obviously when shows get bigger budgets, right? I love it. Like obviously because then you can make a better show. In theory. In the likes of Insecure, we're seeing a better show every single season, right? Pretty much. But then why is it that shows get bigger budgets and then they think, oh yeah, we'll go away? It's like, I get it. I do get it. Like, and I understand that like now, you know, he's running a bigger business and all of this.
National locations, baby. We flying out.
I totally get it, because me too, that I work in TV. I want to be flown out as well. Thank you. I'll take it. But I'm also like, this isn't like, I didn't need all of those shots in Morocco or Spain or where, like, as in, it didn't, and obviously we don't know the story. Firstly, sorry, I'm actually losing my train of thought here, but I'm just going to start by saying season 5 needs to be its last, please. No more. Either Duchesne dies or he retires peacefully.
With how this season ended, somebody is going to die. It will come back, or we'll get to them. We'll get to them.
Yeah, but I'm gonna need for season 5 to be its last season. And in saying that, we obviously don't know how it's gonna end and stuff, and like why it was so important for us to see, for example, in Morocco, this little boy who really wanted to go and see his family in Spain. Like, it was a cute moment. Like, yeah, your boy is like playing football with them in the sand and that. Like, I love that. It was a beautiful scene. I've got screenshots, right? It was magnificent. Was it necessary? No. Like, did you need to go to Morocco for us to see that? No. Like, we had a similar thing in season 2 where they went to the beach in Margate or Ramsgate or wherever it was, and it was a beautiful moment. Thank you. We'll have that. Like,
really comparing the sunny sands of Spain and Morocco to Margate.
Bro, I'm just like, I understand that we have bigger budgets. I totally get it, but in this particular instance, I was like, I don't know why you've taken us to Spain and then why you've taken us to Morocco.
Yeah.
I
don't think it was all necessary. I mean, I kind of like, because they are doing. It's like they have to have an offset. I'd say offset. You would know the terminology. It's not like offset location, but they done the same thing last season with Jamaica, where it's like, and then obviously you said with Margate, where they go to these places outside of London, like and it's like, so one place and then back to London.
Yeah, and you know what, like. I like the fact that they went to Liverpool. So I live in Liverpool currently. So like seeing Liverpool on screen, I'm like, oh, like here we go again. Let's go, right? They went to Manchester last season. You could have gone anywhere in the UK. Like, I don't know. And maybe because I see Top Boy is so global now. So I do get like why maybe they wanted to add that more global element in terms of like going somewhere. But I'm also like, we're also showcasing the UK to the world. Like, let's see more of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's kind of where I'm coming from there.
Yeah.
If you want to have a bigger budget, then like then that's great. But let's also just put it back into the country. You know what I'm saying? Back into the.
I think they did that somewhat. Like the Spain, Morocco sets, the location didn't jar me as much. I think I liked. I mean, I didn't like exactly what you said. A lot of the scenes in there weren't that necessary, to be honest. They just weren't. It just felt like filler. But I do, because I keep jumping back to The Wire actually, because the parallels are so obvious. But I do like how the show begins to highlight how everything is connected. So you have, it's not just supply and demand that we see in in London, but we're seeing on the supply side. Like now we see where the drugs are actually coming from. We see how far Duchesne has risen up in the top way ranks on a global scale, whatever. But risen at the top way ranks because now he has these international connections. Yeah. Now he's out here moving like a big man internationally. Yeah. I was like, it's cool. I didn't think it was executed the best, but it's kind of cool to again see how everything is tied together. I initially thought, this is how Jamie is going to take down Duchesne in season. When we saw Jamie, like, you know what, I'm gonna make my move. Yeah. And we see how that pans out at the end of the season. But anyway, I want to actually one parallel I do want to make whilst we're here. There's the moment where Duchesne runs off, because we're going to talk about Sully, I think. Do you have anything else you want to say on Duchesne? Like big things you want to say on Duchesne?
Aside from gentrification, no.
Aside from gentrification, we'll come back to the Summer House stuff, I think. But moving on to Sully. So there's connecting the two of them. There's a moment where Sully gets kidnapped, which we're going to talk about in a second. But there's a moment where Duchesne finds out and runs off to save Sully. He's with, when he finds out, he is with Shelley, and an insecure parallel jumped out at me so clearly, because this whole Shelley living this life, and she's kind of acting a bit oblivious to the life Duchesne's leading, and she knows, but she is almost like she's got blinkers on, because you can see even the way she carries herself and her morals, like she's not really about it in that way. I mean, obviously she's not completely squeaky clean, but she doesn't want to get involved in this kind of stuff, and she seems kind of oblivious to it, where she's like, wow, look at this lovely house and great. When Duchesne finds out and runs off, there's a look that she gets on her face where it seems like it snaps in her head of, oh wait, like my partner is still in this life, where as much as it might seem like, oh, it's a property investment and everything else, like my partner is really still in this life. It made me think of Molly and Dro. It made me think of when Dro and Molly had sex at Derek's party, when relationship, and then it was like this kind of hot, steamy thing, like, oh yeah, and they're about to leave, and Dro was like, hold on, hang back. And you see the look on Molly's face where she's like, oh yeah, right, this isn't like a everyday normal thing, like you have a situation that you're in. I've been oblivious, like I've tried to kind of blind myself. You think of that, seeing the look on her face where she's like, oh yeah,
like coming back to reality, basically.
This isn't completely legit. Anyway, sorry, that was a long-winded tangent to say that. Like, I miss Insecure kind of. But let's talk about one Gerard Sullivan. Is his name Sullivan? I know his name's Gerard. Is it Sullivan?
Sullivan.
One Gerard Sullivan.
Oh, Sullivan, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna say now, 2 characters carried this season. One of them is Sully.
Yeah. Top 282. Top 282.
Sully.
Yeah, top 282. Sully's character development from the beginning to this season, delicious. He might have reverted back, but that's all part of the character, you know, it's all part of it. So like this season starts off with Sully suffering from PTSD of sorts. Like he'd obviously just witnessed his little brother essentially burn alive. And he's very much and he's like also not been able to see his daughter, Tash. He's really down in the dumps, living on a boat. Not that equates to being down in the dumps, because boat life seems quite cool actually. He's very alone, very in a solitude place. Can I say that? Solitude place. Does she speak English? No.
Just see.
She doesn't. Grammar is 0, but that's fine. So that's kind of how we start off with Sully. You're feeling quite sorry for him, etc., etc. And then his niece, Pebbles.
Yeah.
His niece Pebbles comes along and is like, "Unks." I was like, okay, y'all are doing too much, because nobody says
unks. Nobody ever says unks. Nobody has ever said unks in their life.
Nobody says unks. Like, sorry.
Sorry, unks. I'm like, hey, one time is bad enough. You address him as unks all the time? Unks. Hey, unks.
I was like, nobody does that. But anyway, I see what you're trying to do. It didn't land, but it's okay. It's cute. So Sis went to go and see her uncle, to be like, listen, like, there's this guy who encouraged me to steal these drugs from these bad people, but then he stole it off me, so now I don't have it. But anyway, it turns out that in fact she was the one who was contriving the situation, and she had stole the drugs, and so now she was in a spot of trouble with the guys that she stole it from, and she needed her uncle, or unks, to go, her uncle Sully, to go and retrieve these drugs. So that's what he does, as he should. But anyway, that all goes tits up, and he ends up being taken for idiot. Simply. They come into his boat, take him, punch him up, etc., tie him up. And so that's when, as we mentioned earlier, Duchesne has to come and save him. Only really because Jack was like, that's your boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Duchesne was really trying to hear it too tough. Like, the fact that he kind of had to be begged to do it was like...
I feel like Duchesne would have gone regardless, but you can see... Because remember, this is post them, Duchesne and Sullivan having a fight. A big punch-up where, like, I watched that a couple times because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But the scene was all done so... Man, Kano's such a good actor. Like, in this, he's a really, really good actor. Yeah. But the scene, Sullivan, like, Duchesne giving that shoulder bump, like, what? Duchesne swings on him, and it's a whole thing. But yeah,
again. Is that because Sully's just like, we're partners, or what? I forgot.
Yeah, because Duchesne thinks he is the top guy and not the duo. The reason they are where they are is because the reason Duchesne is where he is because him and Sullivan, like, they came up together. Duchesne called Sullivan over to go to Spain, and so I'm like, I don't work for you. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm only here because Jack begged me to come here.
Yeah. And Duchesne was like, sit down, and he was like, no.
Oh, bro, don't chat to me like I'm something. But
you don't know me.
Yeah, they had their fight. But I do think Duchesne would have gone regardless. I think he was just conflicted because that's the energy that's the last time he saw Sullivan is they just had. But then when the reality, like, Jack's like, yo, that's your boy. It's like,
yeah. But yeah, so Sully then gets beat up, whatever, and then at the end of the season, you see Duchesne and Sully on Duchesne's balcony, in Duchesne's new lovely flat, and Duchesne's just kind of like, listen, like, you know, Jamie's our retirement plan, blah blah. Bearing in mind, Sully and Jamie are not necessarily on good terms, even though they're on the same team. At this point, Sully still isn't completely convinced that Jamie is someone to be trusted, essentially, because of everything that had happened in season 3. So Sully can't fathom the fact that Duchesne would want to make Jamie his number 2 or like his protege in this situation, because to Sully, Jamie can't be trusted, period. And so basically what happens is, I'm kind of jumping to like a bit of Jamie here, but essentially what happens is Duchesne is like, you need to prove yourself to me that you can be trusted. And so Jamie does that and then some. And Sully's like, nope, still doesn't work for me. And so instead of letting him go, literally knocks on his door and shoots him dead. Sorry, we should have said at the start there's gonna be spoilers, but if you've clicked on this, then like I feel like
it's too late. If you got this far, you anyway, yeah,
literally. So Sully kills him. Sully like just straight up kills him in front of his 2 brothers who saw him, because it's not like he was trying to hide the fact that it was him who killed him. Like, dude was like, yeah, it's me. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Kill me? See me?
Yes, the answer to that question. yes. Back to that in a second when we get to, because we're going to talk about Jamie, Steph, and Aaron next. On Sully, I think I'll say this. Yeah, Sully was not wrong from Sully's perspective. In terms, like, Sully was not wrong for killing. Obviously, like, morally, yeah, it's a given. But Sully was not wrong for killing Jamie, because Jamie would have betrayed them. Like, I think we saw what Jamie was going to try and do in Spain.
Yeah.
Was, like, cut out Sully and Duchesne to make his own move. Like, he's always going to think on that level of, he wants to be the top boy. He wants to be the boss himself.
Yeah.
He is not a number 2. I would like to think, because he had taken Kit, his best friend, his brother, coming out, that maybe in some respects he's like, you know, this is it. Like, this is it. I'm with these 2, because he has proven himself.
Yeah.
But I think he did that to protect his siblings. He didn't do it because he's like has that loyalty to Duchesne and Sully anyway. So whilst he would have done it like, so you 2 are safe, because clearly I brought too much disruption to your life. We can't just up and leave. You like you no longer, your world no longer gravitates around me. Now he's gravitating around them.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, I'll pick you 2 over Kit. But
also I feel, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like I would have accepted this murder, because that's what it is. I would have accepted this murder maybe like episode 2, season 5 or something. And I say that because Sully killed his best friend as well, right? Yeah, like, you would have thought that like maybe he would be able to like relate to that, because it's not like then after that like he then turned on Duchesne. Like, him and Duchesne had their own thing that they were beefing over. Do you know what I mean? So in some ways I'm kind of like, I kind of wish that Sully had kind of seen that, like, he's just killed his best friend for us, like that's a big deal kind of thing, and then maybe come to the realization afterwards and be like, you know what, nah, I'm still not gonna let that run. And then do you know what I mean? I wish maybe we had that a bit more. I just didn't think it was that important. That
would have been an interesting level of complexity, I think, which I would have liked to have seen explored. Even like a bridge of connection between Sully and Jamie, which it felt like, because it's the final episode, they were like, just to wrap. Maybe Michael Wood and other stuff that we just to wrap it up. And
you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, they needed 10 episodes. They needed 10 episodes, because it would have made sense to me to have put that at season 8. At episode 8, and then explored that afterwards. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if there were 10 episodes, I feel like it would have been nicely rounded. And
I think that's definitely a possibility. If they'd done 10, the story stretched as far as it can go. They actually had the 8 episodes, I think, was perfect, because they actually, on the whole, because there wasn't enough story I thought to drag this out over 10 episodes because when they got Curtis involved, we're jumping around obviously, but when they got Curtis and the Liverpool stuff involved, I'm like, okay, you're not stretching it out now. That was never the main story. Suddenly, this is the big thing. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, don't, please. Sorry, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
That's why I'm like 8 episodes feels right, but I definitely hear what you're saying, where it did feel a bit like we missed out on something there, which is a shame.
That seemed a bit amiss to me, considering I think it's either at the beginning of this season or like the end of last season where we find out that like that what's his name, that Sully shot the guy like over 20 times. Like, hello.
My brother doesn't think that Sully did. My brother thinks that Driss is still alive. And I'm like, really? They found the body. He's like, oh, but we didn't see the body, which is true. Which is true.
No, but then I don't think he would have gone through all that to like get his missus a job.
Yeah, I mean, Sully has a heart for like the people he cares about. The people. Remember, Driss is still his best friend. Like he killed Driss, but Driss he still has that connection to Driss and his family and everything else. And if he did end up sending Driss away alive, he'd still probably have that.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, I'm like, I don't really care to be honest either way if Driss is alive or not. I would say on Jamie. Are we talking about Jamie? We're not talking about Jamie.
We're talking about Sully, but we can talk about Jamie now if you want.
Yeah, let's jump to, because I don't have Kano is great. I want to see more of Kano in other roles.
Yeah.
Just to see how he carries himself. Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, let's just talk about his daughter real quick because that was like crazy, dog. So basically, he wasn't allowed to see his daughter, etc., etc. All of this stuff happened with Pebbles. Things are resolved. Pebbles, as a thank you.
It was sweet though.
If I could strike her, I would. If I could strike Pebbles, I would. But anyway, as a thank you for like nearly dying for her, Pebbles works it out with Sully's ex and manages to get Sully to see his daughter, which is so sweet. And on another level of complexity, I guess, like now Sully's got another body, but you've just met your kid again. Like you've just been let into your kid's life again. There wasn't even that kind of like, I would have appreciated like a little struggle of like, I need to kill this guy, but I've just got my daughter back in my life. If I get caught, you've gone into this guy's house unmasked, ungloved, and killed him. You'll never see your daughter again.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, like you get killed, in which case you'll still never see her again. But anyway, next, let's move
on. Jamie, Aaron, and Steph. So I feel like we've covered a lot of Jamie's story, just talking about Sully and Dushane. But Jamie's story in a nutshell: come out of jail, working for Dushane as a contingency for being released. I really like Michael Ward as Jamie. I thought Jamie was a really good addition to the show. I like the relationship he has with his brothers. He clearly does care about them to like the nth degree. It's interesting to see the tension though of him coming out of prison and trying to step back into that fatherly, motherly role to his brothers. And they've moved. It's been a year. They've kind of moved on a bit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really get explored outright. We don't really get that sense of conversation. We just get the emotions and kind of like butted heads. But particularly with Steph, where Steph's just skipping school, ignoring his brother, real moody, real like teenage, kind of miserable teenage like. And Aaron, at first I was like, I don't like Aaron's character, I can't lie. Because at first in the show, I'm like, oh yeah, this is interesting. You have the road man, you have the youngest like baby, and you have this one, the good boy, the student.
Yeah.
Aaron's only line in this show is, "I've got exams. I've got to study. I got to study.
Yeah.
I got exams."
That's like avoidant personality. You know what I'm saying?
Going deep in it every time. I'm like, when are the exams coming? Dude?
I got exams, man. I gotta
study. See, this is last season. I got to study. Which is look, you got to study every year. I get that, but come on. Anyway, I do like. We got the chance to see like Aaron and Steph themselves without Jamie, and how Aaron would still be there for Steph, you know, even without Jamie being there, like he was still like way to do that. But just seeing that triangle, seeing Aaron and Steph in particular try to navigate having Jamie back, and how Jamie is a tornado, where Jamie's like, yo, we gotta go, you gotta get yourself, you gotta go to Cardiff, and they're like, fam, what are you talking about? He doesn't explain it.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah.
I feel that. I think I can't tell if I like the fact that Jamie is so obtuse. I can't tell if I like it. Because I think that's why they weren't able to like verbalize it per se. Like, I liked the emotion, and I liked that Jamie, like, or Michael Ward playing Jamie would kind of like have a look of like, what's going on here? Like, what's changed? And it's like, well, you went to jail and then came back and thought that you could just come back. Like, it's like, how do you not know that this is what's happening? But in another way, I'm kind of like I get it. Like, he's been the breadwinner for so long. Like, why would he not think that when he came back home, like, oh, you guys are good now because I'm here? When he's been thinking that this whole time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think part of me was kind of like, you would at least come home and be like, listen, like, I know that I haven't been here, like, I'm so sorry, like, it won't happen again. Dude just came in like he never left.
Came in like Steph, go to bed, go get ready for school.
You want to talk to me?
Like,
I'm a whole year older. What? Judy's like, you're cooking, yeah, and you're cleaning as well. Me? Yeah, so yeah, I can't tell if I maybe what I would have preferred is that like he would have come to that realization and then died. I don't know.
Even I thought we were gonna have a conversation with Aaron, and Aaron would explain like, yo, honestly, we need to reestablish our dynamics, or
like, you can't just come home and start chatting nonsense.
Just do pow to my beat. But maybe that's the sort of genius of the show, because even though that's never an outright conversation, towards the end, episode 8, where you see that Jamie makes the choice that, like, you know what, I'm gonna go with what you two want to do.
Yeah,
we're gonna stay here. Yeah. I'm going to take out my best friend.
Yeah, for y'all.
Which is the ultimate, like, in many respects, the ultimate sacrifice, in a way where Jamie's actually very serious about saying, like, what he said to Aaron, everything I do is always for you two. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, jumping forward to the main crux, as we mentioned earlier with Sully kills Jamie. He does this in front of Steph and Aaron.
Yeah.
Steph is gonna kill Sully. Whether it happens next season, if they do a season 6, but Steph is gonna kill Sully. I think, I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but it reminds me of a certain character in The Wire, and how they also, like, a important character, how they also go out. You picking up what I'm putting down?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
The sense of, like, kids always do take over, and I can see Steph kind of taking on his brother's mantle in that way. We saw it towards the end of the season where they want to sell the gun, and then he had this kind of attitude about him that, yo, we here to do business or not. So I can really see Steph kind of, if they're going to write him in that way, jumping into those shoes. Yeah. He might be faced with the dichotomy, which maybe he's always been faced with, of, do I want to be Jamie or do I want to be Aaron? Do I want to be Jamie?
Yeah.
And I think this is going to swing him in the Jamie direction.
Yeah, I think, maybe this season more than the last one, I would say he's been put in that, because in the last season he was definitely like, what are you doing, man? Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so last season was the beginning of the pendulum, I guess. Like, no, we're not doing that. To, yeah, I'm a hold up a gun to this guy.
After talking about Steph, I want to quickly mention Tia, who I don't know if this is a harsh take. I'll broaden it out from just Tia. The kids broadly are my least favorite part of the show in many respects.
Why are they so young? Goodness, y'all don't know any 20-year-olds?
I wish they would broadly. I have a couple little niggles with the show that I feel kind of add up to other bigger problems. The first being, I do wish they got better child actors for some of the parts they have. Child actors are hard. Like, I think it's a very tough because you're figuring it out. But I'm just it ties into a bigger issue, I think, which is the direction of the show, also the direction of the characters. So I've seen there are numerous moments in this show where a character will respond to a line of questioning or respond in a conversation in a way to me, which I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you responded in that way, and it feels so like they're forcing the slang or the Britishness where I'm just like,
it takes you out of it.
Yeah.
If the acting takes you, like, if the acting is taking you out of what you're watching, then you're kind of, it's very jarring. Very jarring.
And that happens a lot where I'm like, is that a natural response? That doesn't feel like a natural response. Like, this was some, oh, fuck off, man. I'm like, why did you respond like that? It's such a strange thing to do. And I think that's more to do, I'd say, less so with acting, more so with direction, because that's the director you have to talk, like, no, you have to respond in this way, respond in that way, or kind of guide and shape.
Or even giving them the, like, autonomy to be like, no, actually, I don't like the way that's said. Like, can I say it like this? Do you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, it's a collaborative process. Like, so if the actor also isn't comfortable with the words that they're saying, or if they don't feel like,
good point.
Like, for example, Unks, I don't know who chose to do that.
That was in the script. That was in the script. They said Unks.
But gal like Pebbles could have said, you know what? Nobody says that. Unless if it was her idea, then, you know, that's a very bold, creative choice.
Same with Tia. I got perms, bro. Permanently excluded. I'm like,
oh yeah, permed. I was like, permed, like permed, like.
Sounds like
the fact that you had to explain it means no.
I mean, like, am I just old? Am I just a boomer? Have I just aged out of the point where I'm hearing new slang? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but you have to clarify what perms meant. I'm like, so even Steph doesn't know what perms meant. Anyway, the Tia storyline, like, it didn't go anywhere. I was like, this is so awkward and just so random. I think a lot of the scenes and characters are in the show to add colour to the world we live in London and in the UK. Yeah. But I was watching those scenes like, why am I watching this? Like, what for? What for? It was so random and so unnecessary. Didn't like it. But anyway,
I would also like to know, like, so this is a bit of a tangent, but like, I want to know exactly how much Jack and Jamie are making. I don't really care about Duchesne, but what is your salary? Because I need to know. Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. Just tell me, please.
Why?
But I just want to know how you people are sustaining. That's what I want to know.
Okay. Sorry. You didn't mean how much the actors are making for acting.
No. As drug dealers, I just want to know. I want to know because Jamie really talks like, yeah, I'm bringing it home for the kids. How much? How much are you bringing home? I'm curious. Is it worth it? I'm curious.
I imagine so.
Show specific. I'm not talking about anyone else, please.
I imagine so, because I mean, look, Jack has her own place. Jack has a nice whip. Jack is seemingly doing really good for herself. Jamie, I'm just like, fam, move to, I don't know how much money, I don't know how much money you're bringing in, but I'm like, move to a better place. Move to a better place than where you're living in now. But Maybe because again he has siblings there, so.
That was a digression. Sorry.
No, I get it because I wondered too. At some point, I wondered too. Anything else on Jamie, Aaron, and Steph? We can start rattling through people.
Jamie, Aaron, and Steph killed ants. Let's talk about it.
He didn't kill ants.
Well, he didn't kill ants, but it was really, really unnecessary. Why did I need to see that body in a skip? I didn't.
Yeah, that was rough. That was the way season 1 starts off with Ants' mom looking for ants, and obviously we don't know what happened to ants at that point. So I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I like this idea of perspective because we're only seeing Ants' mom's perspective. So I'm like, I feel like she does. I'm lost too. Where's Ants at?
Really?
Compared to when in other shows where a character would be missing, you would see where we as an audience would know where the character's at. We'd see both sides. We see maybe the person who's looking is like, oh, where's this person? Then we'd see that like we kind of know. So it doesn't feel so. There's not a lot of tension there. Yeah. I was like, where's this boy?
Yeah.
This boy, and then when you finally find this boy.
Yeah, it was not something. I just thought we were gonna see him shotting on the street.
Exactly. I thought you were gonna be.
Yeah. I did not expect to see him in a skip. That was really rough. Shed a little tear, you know what I'm saying? Shed a little tear.
You messaged me about the hug that Ants' mum and Steph shared, which is sad because you see everyone consoling Ants' mum and being there for her, and Shelly was there and everyone was there, and she's kind of like very stoic, and you can tell like just in her own space.
Yeah.
When Steph shows up, she goes back into motherly mode and she's hugging him. She's like, yo, like she's consoling him.
Yeah, because she knows how close they were.
Obviously, but she went straight into like, yo, like Ants wouldn't want to see you cry and everything else. I was like, wow, there's a really good articulation of the power of community in that space, how important the community is. And as much as some house gentrification stuff, I'm like, it's kind of corny. You really do get a sense of like, there's a community in it. Like these are people who grew up together, know each other, who love each other, and that was really sweet to see.
Yeah, I think that's a good point actually in terms of community, just in general. Like you said, aside from the gentrification stuff, like you can tell that there was a community there even before they started going to community meetings. Do you know what I mean? Like they were always there for each other. Like even Shelley being at Deshane's mum's house, like that's how Deshane and Shelley met at his mum's house, because Shelley would be taking care of his mum. Do you know what I mean? So like, if that's a really strong point of Top Boy, I think that I really, really like, and I hope they don't stop with that. The community is definitely a central part of it, and it's nice when it comes full circle. You see Deshane like backed down from wanting to gentrify Summer House, because I thought it was a really, again, the show's articulating some interesting points on. You'd have these investors and you have people who would see a state or block of flats and be like, oh, that's a shell, knock it down, get rid of it, like let's renovate. And Deshane's of the mindset, he's like, oh, Summer House is a shithole, let's change it, let's get just. But people are there like, we don't want to just, not that we don't want to change it, but we don't want to leave our home. Like, you'll let everyone up. There's something here which isn't captured from the outside, but something that we feel all living here, and it's important to us as a community, as a culture, where you have old white people and old black people and young this and all these different types of people. And is there a lot of Asians in Top Boy? There was Pebbles' ex-man. Rashawn? Yeah. Oh, is he not Asian? Maybe, I don't know. Because as I was saying, I was like, is this show as diverse as I think it is? Maybe not. But no, it's not really. They did have Victor in season 1, but I mean that's what I was thinking of. Well, anyway, work to do. There's definitely work to do. Yeah, work. Because London is very much more diverse than make work to do. Yeah, especially in East London. What are we talking about? Not in East London. Sorry. Yeah, but anyway, I mean,
they're presenting the image that summer house is diverse, and a real kind of like patchwork fabric of a community. It's nice.
I think like even even saying like, even by like little lines like, oh my gosh, there was one that they said, and Croydon. I was like, firstly, don't come for Croydon because I'm gonna don't come for Croydon. But I know that line was put in there and we were all gonna be like, oh yeah, here we go. Do you know what I mean? Get the Twitter fingers there. Sorry, but there was a line in it and they were like, oh yeah, I've got to move to Bolton. It's like you people are really moving these people out, not even just out of where they're living. You're moving them out of cities that they've grown up in. Like, make it make sense. Bolton from London, really? Okay, it's really ridiculous.
I can't like no. It makes, as someone who's been through the housing system, particularly by councils, been in a situation where they wanted to move us to Peterborough before, like as an alternative to living in London. Like,
no,
not even like Morton or Mitcham. I'm talking about fucking Peterborough.
Like, no offense to people that live at period. Don't come for us, please. But no, but like when it's somewhere that you've grown up and like that's your community, and then suddenly you're like, nah, sorry, you gotta move. That's a bit mad. Anyway, sorry, we'll move on from this onto who talking about Jack,
and then we can just do a round up of like bits and pieces.
Okay.
I guess Jack and tangentially Lauren, Curtis, and V. So we start with Jack just by herself. So I said this earlier. Sully was one of two characters which carried the season. Jack is the other character for me. Like Jack was the other character who carried the season, given real main character syndrome, for the better in my eyes. I think as much as Jack is like a go and get shit done person, very much like Stringer Bell from The Wire, I did like the layers of complexity they added around Jack's character, particularly around sexuality and kind of dealing with that in the space of people who are intolerant of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I liked it.
Okay, oh come on. I didn't think it was done the best, but I did think it added a layer to Jack's character outside of just being tough.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And even seeing Jack date as well, where it's like it's hard to see people who are tough as, especially like women, like lesbians who are tough on TV to see dating and like to be in a soft space. Because again, The Wire, the show really wears The Wire influences on its sleeve, but Jack as a parallel to Snoop, and I can't recall ever seeing Snoop date in The Wire as a thing.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. And even seeing Jack navigate that space of wanting to be there for her sister, keeping her sister at arm's length, out of loyalty to Shane and Sully, but wanting to be there for her sister at the same time, and kind of just seeing her being pulled between these two forces. Yeah.
Although now that I think about it, now correct me if I'm wrong. Duchesne said Lauren gotta go.
Yeah.
Right.
Sully's really the one who gave that order.
Sully is the one who gave the order. Jack didn't do it.
No, she did go.
As in, she was supposed to die. Like, if it was up to Sully would have killed Lauren.
No, I think they changed. I think that was the initial plan, but then it was like she just got banished in the end. I was like, don't ever come back to Summer House. That was the agreement, as far as I remember.
Okay, fine.
So it wasn't that she was initially. I think Sally was like going to kill her, and then the compromise was that Jack beat her down, and it's like, don't ever come back to Summer House, or don't ever come back to London. I guess I don't know.
Okay, fine, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm just thinking, is there a double standard here? I don't like. Did Kit need to die for ants? Like, let me not. Like, I'm not undermining the death of ants, right? Because obviously he was, or ants, whatever his name is. You know, poor guy. He was just a guy full of misfortune, apparently. But did Kit need to die?
You're asking a very logical question when Deshane was in a very irrational state. Deshane, this is off the back of Deshane losing his mum, having the shit go down with Ruben, and Curtis is taking his. Yeah. So when Jamie came in that moment, like, yo, you're right. Yeah, it was Kit.
Okay.
Deshane was not trying to hear any.
Yeah. I was just trying to understand. Like, I guess I'm still just trying to understand, like, how Jack was able to get away with that. Like, get away with not having to, like,
kill his sister. Jack has leeway. Jack has been loyal to Sally, like, Sally, and Jamie's not that. Jamie doesn't have that. Jamie doesn't have that, and this is why Jack was able to beg Sally to get involved. Like, yo, like, I would ride out for you time and time again.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Jack kind of had that leverage. Okay, fair enough. Because I was kind of like, hang on, but. Yeah, that makes sense.
Started to prove himself, but they're like, we don't really trust you, Jack. They trust Jack. Like,
everything about that Lauren and Curtis story was not it for me until they went to the show. So basically, the story there is that so Lauren goes to Liverpool, finds herself pregnant by this man called Curtis, who is literally simply that sound, God, what a nightmare. And has also, like, it's interesting because, like, he has so much power over her, or at least he thinks he does, but also will get laying down by his sister. Like, his sister's like, no, and he's like, okay, sis. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so weird, but anyway.
It's a weird dynamic between him and his sister.
Very, very strange dynamic where, like, basically his sister is so evil and so mean to Lauren, and Curtis does nothing. Curtis does nothing except take her phone away from her, say that she can't go outside, blah, 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 all of this. Like, basically a very, very abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And so there's a point where she's like, listen, babe, I need some, like, new bras, like, I need some new clothes, like, I'm pregnant with your child, and your sister is out here dictating your life. Like, hello, help me out. So they end up going to the shop, and it, quite possibly the best 10 minutes, not of the show, but, like, it was definitely of the best 10 minutes in the show. Like, basically she's now trying to escape in this from Curtis in the what is this thing called? in the mall. So she's, like, gone down the stairs, she's, like, running around, and obviously she's pregnant as well, so, like, she's running very slowly. She's begging a cab driver to open up the door. The cab driver opens up the door, she gets in the thing, then Curtis catches her. Woo, child! I said, Mr. Taxi Man, if you open that door, we're done.
I thought he was about to. I thought, because verbally he was even like, I'll open the door. I'm like, fam.
Yeah. And especially when you hear, like, when someone says, like, oh, like, you know, she's not well, like, Even I would be like, girl, you were just knocking on my door, so are you well or are you not well?
I mean, understand in that, because attached, they were like, yo, she's pregnant, hormones, like, she got a lot going on. She's actually not, like, are you okay?
Sure? Bro, I'll be like, darling, there are people knocking on the door. Can you hear that? Are you well? Okay, but I was so happy that he like believed her. Oh my God, that was such a relief. Such a relief. And it was everything Sam Levinson wishes he could have done.
Okay, all right, we take a shot at one Samuel. I hear
Sorry, Sam. But like that is a way to
tension.
like,
Yeah.
you know, build tension, and then like let it resolve rather than just like giving me heart palpitations for literally no reason. Why was, sorry to bring it to Euphoria, but why was your man Nate in the car with a gun drinking, right? Then goes to his dad to have a heart to heart, and then calls the police on his dad, but he's been drinking in the car with a gun. It doesn't make sense. The sense isn't sensing. Make it make sense, Sam. But we're not talking about Euphoria today.
Like, we dropping Euphoria spoilers here, Queenie.
We're not talking about Euphoria today. Sorry, unfortunately. But
we're done. No, it was tension done well. Shout out to Lauren, because I mean, yeah, I thought the show as a whole makes a lot of really interesting points of social commentary. Whether like to what degree that's executed great or not so great is like, you know, subjective. But seeing like Lauren's in a domestic abuse situation, and as much as that abuse isn't physical, it's the show makes a point. It shows how that can be interpreted in different ways, from financial abuse to emotional abuse and
yeah.
So I was really happy to see Lauren kind of escape that situation.
Yeah.
I didn't expect necessarily that Sully and Deshane would get involved how they did, but it made sense because Curtis took that to Deshane and they kind of had no what to respond in kind.
Yeah. I wish though, I wasn't sold on this Curtis coming, like, you came all the way to London. Like, why? Like, in my mind, I didn't, maybe I just didn't see enough of that dynamic to understand like why Curtis was so invested. Like,
he's unhinged. That's the kind of way I've had to justify it to myself. Is that I mean, as much as it is like she is carrying his child, so there's that connection there, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's also unhinged. Like the way he talks to her, and the way he's saying, "Oh, it's just her hormones." I think he actually believes that. He actually believes the bullshit coming out his mouth.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah. Do you know what was so menacing about Curtis though was that he and it was so menacing, but it was so simple and I loved it. He knew people's names. Deshane, and he would say, "Oh, okay, Deshane. No, like, I've just met you. We don't know each other from Adam."
Beyond that, when he's talking to Naomi, he's like, "Hey, like now we know each other on a first name basis. I like to." That we establishes trust.
yeah. So menacing, but I loved it so much. Like that, like that's the kind of stuff that I look for in a villain. Do you know what I mean? I really, really enjoyed that.
Speaking of villains, I did think, like I said, I mentioned this earlier, it was such a random plot point which seemed to make its way. I'm not mad at how it did, to be fair, because I mean that's the arc of a great story. You're tying everything together into one nice cohesive story. But I did not anticipate the Curtis Lauren V storyline becoming the main, like joining the main storyline to wrap up this season.
Yes.
But that moment in the final episode, or maybe it's episode 7, where I think it's episode 7, where I just in my notes I just have it as the vice group of this episode, because that's where Deshane loses his mum. There's a Ruben, the whole Ruben just fired a solicitor, so Ruben's about to snitch. And then the nail in the coffin was like Deshane losing his mum was a nail in the coffin, but Curtis like also robbing the stash house and the band and everything else. And Deshane just collapsed. He just does the like, oh Lord, like there's a lot going on. And that was really good. The last couple episodes of the season were really, really good. Good.
Really, really strong. And so just to wrap up that little storyline there with Lauren, I say little when really this was like the crazy part to me. Now they're trying to trap Curtis to basically like kill him off essentially. Then Curtis gets a phone call talking about oh my gosh, it's me, it's Lauren. I'm not in the car with them. It's a trap. Come and see me. Da, 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 da. Come by yourself.
Alone.
I was like, Lauren, if you don't kill this man, I will reach you the screen and kill you instead. Right? Obviously, she kills him. But when I saw the knife, I said, you're going to use this little thing. I said, you didn't even plan this. You didn't plan this, right? You didn't. You, pregnant woman, want to use a knife on this big man. And you think one little chook is going to end it? Really? That's cute. That's cute. I was there like, that knife is not enough. That knife will not suffice. It did, thank God, but...
It wasn't scary because when she did, get it cracking, it was just like a little poke in his back. And I'm like, that's not taking him down.
I was like, darling, you need to be aiming for the jugular. You need to be aiming for right here. Or in the leg.
She did it in the front. I'm like, that's not taking him down. And then the scuffle, and then the whole time I'm like, the baby.
Both.
And then, but obviously she does what she has to do, which I think, to be honest, will probably earn her points with Sully and Duchesne so she can stay. I mean, that was already squashed between a conversation with Jack and Sully. This kind of shows how far Sully has come in terms of his own development.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't trying to hear that before. But he recognizes as well as a person who's made loads of mistakes.
Yeah.
That people can, you don't have to forgive them, but you understand like the sense of remorse and regret that's come from that, and family. The show's making a big deal about talking about family in the way the Fast and Furious franchise does as well. It was just family. You got to stand by your family.
Oh, please don't liken this to Fast and Furious.
If I had the script, it feels like the amount of times I've heard like family, outright. It's kind of jarring, but
that is very funny.
I get it. Family and community are the actual heartbeat of this show. They really are. So yeah, shout out to Jack. Do you want to talk about your homegirl Shirley? One Simbi, Lil Sims.
Lil Sims, we love you, girl.
Bits.
There was one point where I was watching the show, and my flatmate walked out.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, my flatmate made the point and said like, "Oh, like I appreciate that very well." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What do you mean? I don't mind her. What do you mean?" And then my flatmate comes out one day and was like, "Do you see what I mean?" as Lil Sims was speaking, I was like, "Damn, like it's peak." But to that, I would say is because this story was dead. The story that they gave her was absolutely trash. When I saw the lady at the start, I was thinking, oh, maybe sis used to be a sex worker or something. Like, I had so many things going in my mind. Like, oh my gosh, like maybe she used to like da 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 da. I was like, oh, okay, that's depressing. Duchesne doesn't even know if. Do you know what it is? Yeah. If okay, this is what it is. The Lauren thing should have just not happened. The Shelley thing should have been the thing that brought them together. That they then build tension. Right? Because that makes more sense to me, bruv. Yeah, because that way Duchesne is actually doing something for someone he loves, as opposed to Jack's sister, who snaked you last season. The sense isn't sensing. Like, I understand what they tried to do, and if they were serious, they would have done it better. That's what I'm saying. But maybe Sis had an album to do, because the album's good. Maybe Sis had the album, doing promo, all that stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
It's not to do with Lil Sims. It's definitely to do with the writing. I would say I disagree, but largely from the perspective that, in terms of that Shelley storyline being bigger, because I didn't like it. That stuff with Bev, I hated it. I hate it. I thought I missed something in the last season. I thought I hadn't remembered who this Beverly person was.
No,
so then she showed, like, I'm sure
I thought Bev was like an old like mistress, like an old like pimp. Do you know what I mean?
But like, then it wasn't. I thought, to be honest, again, it didn't really bother me. I did think it was a bit of a weird one where they wrote like they wanted to give like Little Sims more to do in the show. I just didn't care for it in how it was executed. Maybe it will be the stepping stone to her being more in this life. Like, do you know what I mean? Like being more. And then she's also done dirt, so maybe
she's also digged up dead bodies and digged. Can I speak English? Dug up dead bodies and like, I feel that.
Well, maybe, but other than that, I was just not really hitting in that whole story. I didn't really hit for me.
Yeah, it felt very flat. Like I was actually very excited when I saw this Bev lady. I was like, hang on. Why is Shelley going to the tills to get money? What's going on?
I thought she was going to be a racist. When she showed up with all this attitude, it was like, I want this one. That shellac. Nah, do I look like something? I was like, oh, I don't like this tension. I don't like this tension at all.
You know, but I feel like, I would have liked a better story for Little Sims, to be fair. But you're right, maybe, and I hope it is a kind of stepping stone. Like I suppose I wouldn't mind a kind of Bonnie and Clyde, but I think something puts me off about Shelley and Duchesne being together, and I think it's just the age difference, which is so obvious in terms of like their real life ages. It's like it's quite off-putting for me, not because like these couplings don't happen, but more because like I feel like they're trying to play Duchesne or Ashley Waters as like a younger person, and he's just not.
It's a weird one because Duchesne makes the point. He's like, I don't want to be on the roads like into my old age. So clearly he's older. Clearly. Yeah. But
because Sully at some point says that he's 35 or something.
Yeah, you got it.
He says at some point that he's 35, so I'm like, okay.
Queenie, any other points you want to make on the show as a whole, or any particular characters?
No other real. No, I think the show as a whole, despite all of the shit I said, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I feel like my voice is too high for that to be believable, but I'm being serious. Like I actually did really like it. I wish we saw like at least like one scene with Ats in it, just because I wanted to see what he looks like now, and like I wanted to see like, you know, that kind of character development in a way, and just because he was such an integral part to season 1 or 3, however you see it. It would have been nice to have seen him for like at least an episode, then kill him off in episode 2. I feel like Game of Thrones has kind of ruined me in that way of like just expecting death from anywhere at any point. Whereas like pre-Game of Thrones, you pretty much know that someone would die at the end of the season. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas like now I'm like, kill someone in episode 5. Kill someone in episode 1. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose? But that's all I would say really. But I did really like it. I'm excited for season 5. I hope it's the last one with Ashley Waters in, just because I need for him to either die or retire. I'm tired. Like, and then what I'm gonna need after that is like a Top Boy regen or a Top Boy new gen. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. But that's just me.
Top Boy new gen, you know. Broadly, I had a good time with this season. I did think it picked up much more towards the back half of the season. Sully and Jack hard carried. I'm not a fan of Duchesne as the lead. I liked Jamie. obviously that's now said in the past tense.
He really shot him in the head as well. Like there's no coming back from that.
You know, he's like, oh, you know, I'm not leaving this up to ambiguity at all. Like you
and they said, you go see this body, you go see it, and I'm gonna shoot him in the head. He did.
Based on that, I can see Stefan being Sully and Duchesne, maybe. Who knows how it's gonna play out. But yeah, it was a good season. I'm excited to see what they do next.
I'm very excited to see where it goes next. I'm very happy that they, you know, got a bigger budget despite my complaints earlier. And yeah, man, London to the world, innit? That's really what this is for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is what it is. I do hope we see a bit more of the UK next season. And like I said before, they've done a good job anyway of showcasing that. But yeah, exciting times. Maybe I'll be working on it next year. Who knows? Just put things down for you, though.
Just putting it out there. All right. Well, Queenie, we can wrap up. If you listened this far to our Top Boy discussion, thank you for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed